This is Rob Turbot for Boxing Social in association with Betfred. Delighted to be joined by the Commonwealth Cruiserweight Champion, Chris BILLAM-SMITH. How are you, Chris?
Very well, thanks, mate. You?
Very well, thanks, very well. I haven't spoke to you in a while. We've had you on social a few times, but it's been the able Ryan Elliott or Andy Purwell who has spoken to you. It's now me who gets the pleasure after some time. How have you been?
Yeah, all good, mate. Ticking over, waiting for a new date, but grafting away.
First day back in the gym, not first day back in the gym today, first day back sparring today. How was it?
Yeah, good. Yeah, good. Just 6 rounds and then finished off on the bags, but feel sharper than I'd expect for first week back. So yeah, all good, mate, all good.
I think the last time I spoke to you was just after your fight with Dion Juma was pulled. It feels like a while ago now. It's kind of a recurring thing throughout the year that you kind of lose track of time. Talk to me about the time since that has happened and where we are now. How did you handle it, and what have you made of it moving forwards? Really,
it was tough to take. Obviously, I was buzzing for the fight. It's a great fight, like I said at the time, and for the British title as well. And going into Christmas as British and Commonwealth champion was obviously the plan, but wasn't to be. So I had a bit of time, had like a week off of not doing much, and then got back into training back home, and now here I am back in Kent. So, but yeah, it was tough to take, but it's one of those things you have to get over it quickly and move on and keep grafting.
Well, I've heard all of the takeaways in Bournemouth are going to potentially go out of business now you've moved back up to Kent for training.
Potentially, well, not all of them, just Chicken and Blues.
Shout out Chicken and Blues, the Mac Daddy rap. Anyway, moving on. What's the latest then? Because when I last spoke to you, we kind of didn't know what was going on. I know there was some talk about January 30th. Fighters in general like to work towards dates, but what have you heard recently? What's been the talk about you returning to the ring?
Yeah, it's going to be any time, either January 30th or before the end of February. So we're just working towards January 30th, and then when we get some more official news, we'll taper camp to that date. So, but yeah, just working towards January 30th now. So Christmas is cancelled when it comes to how much I usually like to eat, but I'll still enjoy a nice roast dinner on Christmas Day.
Is that going to be Dion Juma, or do we not know yet? Because, of course, we're still waiting to hear officially, at least, what the situation is with his eye injury. Do you know anything that we don't?
No, I know we've asked for medical reports and stuff. I hope Dion, the main thing is that he recovers fully, and the hope is, it's not too serious. And then, yeah, I like that fight. I would like to fight for the British title, but no idea yet, mate, but we're just waiting to hear on some medical reports, I think.
Well, as illuminating as all of this is, with you not having a date or an opponent or anything, we're going to move on. Ryan Garcia versus Luke Campbell. We're only a couple of weeks away. We've been in the gym today with Luke Campbell, watching him spar and tick off the final few boxes of his preparations. But again, as I've said earlier, it feels like this fight is sort of now crept up on us. We're only a couple of weeks away. How's Luke been looking in the gym?
Yeah, I mean, before I had a few weeks out of the gym, he was looking sharp, and then I've seen his last 2 spars this week, and yeah, he's on point and exactly where he needs to be. He's actually added quite a bit to his game. I won't give too much away, but yeah, he looks really, really sharp, and I think the boys are going out next week, him and Shane. So I think everything's in place and he's ready to put on a show.
A bit of a different, this is a big fight, as Luke Campbell has been involved in the past, but slightly different in the sense that we don't really quite know how good Ryan Garcia is. When he went in with Vasily Lomachenko and Jorge Linares, everybody knew about those guys, but still there's a little bit of, well, a huge question mark, if anything, about how good Ryan Garcia is. How good do you think he is? I
think he's very talented. I think he's, he's got fast hands, he can obviously punch. He's skillful and his shot selection's good, but Luke's got more to his game other than just his hands, where Ryan Garcia is mainly just all hands, as in he's got quick hands and good shot selection. Luke's got great feet, great timing, and all those things as well. And I see it as a bit like Canelo versus Mayweather, like too soon for Garcia, and I believe he'll come back after Luke beats him and do really well in the sport and make the adjustments he's going to need to make. But yeah, I just think he's too experienced. You look at his losses, the first Mendy loss, you know, he avenged. Linares, he arguably won, and then he boxed one of the best fighters either of our generation of all time, depending who you ask. So people just underestimate Luke because he's got a few losses. But then he's got some great wins on his record as well. But I think it's too soon for Garcia, and he's stepping up against a big, proper lightweight where most of them have been blown up feathers and super feathers who he's knocked out. And he's much taller than his previous opponents, and the whole style's different. So I just see Luke just completely outclassing him and probably potentially stopping him late. It depends. Like you said, we don't know what Garcia's chin's like, so it'll definitely be tested. And depending on his chin, Luke could stop him. If he's got a very good chin, Luke will just completely outclass him.
Are you going over for the fight?
Yeah, I'm working for Boxing Social for the fight. I'm just waiting to hear from you. Get my contract in place. Make sure I've got my peanut M&Ms in the contract, and I'm there.
I like how everybody automatically puts a food clause into a Boxing Social contract based on what the Boxing Social staff weigh.
Most of the time when us three are together, it's after a fight and we're eating. So, when Ryan interviewed me after my Commonwealth title fight, I was sat there with a pizza, and I think I had some peanut M&Ms as well. So, yeah, it's a crucial part.
Well, thanks for that, mate. Before we move on, Lawrence Okolie, of course, your stablemate, fellow cruiserweight, unfortunately didn't box for the world title against Krzysztof Glowacki. Again, a running theme of this year is COVID interfering. But still, all being said, looked very good against Nikodem Jazuski on the AJ Pulev undercard.
Yeah, it was a great performance. It was great to see Lawrence be able to show what he's capable of. He's looked sharp he looked sharp earlier on in camp than he usually does. He's improving all the time. And obviously we know he's got power, and he showed that in the fight. I think if it was Glowacki in there, it might have lasted a couple of more rounds, because Glowacki's slightly more experienced and slightly more technical and skilled. But I do believe that Lawrence would have knocked out Glowacki as well.
Now, after the fight, Eddie, as he likes to do, got very excited and started talking about Lawrence Okolie knocking this person out, that person out, the other. The name that came back from that was Myris Bradis, from our good friends over at Sauerland Promotions. Obviously, Callum has kind of overseen Myris Bradis throughout 2 World Boxing Super Series. You've spent some time in camp with Myris Bradis very recently, in the build-up to the World Boxing Super Series final in particular. Where would you put Lawrence on that sort of level? You've had probably as good a look at those two guys as anybody in world boxing at the minute. Where would you put Lawrence in and amongst the top cruiserweights in the world?
Yeah, he's up there. Him against Bradis is a great fight. Bradis isn't a massive cruiserweight height-wise, very strong, can punch with both hands, but Lawrence's awkwardness and size and power, could definitely cause, not say causing problems, but that fight really interests me. I'd love to see Lawrence beat Glowacki and then fight Bradis. I think it's a really interesting fight. I think Lawrence is, coming into his own now. Not that he's ever lacked confidence, but it's the whole confidence in doing certain things in the ring. He's doing really well, and he showed that the other night. He looked very relaxed in there and able to be sharp with his power rather than just looking for the shot. And obviously the finishing shot was just a lovely little 1-2 that just rolled off, and it used to separate the punches, but it used to be very much a jab and then a right hand rather than just a boom. And just those little things just show size and confidence, how he's growing and developing as a fighter. That fight is a fantastic fight, especially after the Glowacki fight. So it will prove, Lawrence deserves to be at world level. I'd love to see that fight.
He can win all of the world titles at cruiserweight, move up to heavyweight, and then vacate them for you. Yeah,
absolutely. That's the theme. Lawrence vacated the Commonwealth, and I took that, and then obviously British was meant to be. We'll get there in the end.
Okay, well, before I let you go, just a quick final word on the big fight this weekend in San Antonio. Canelo Alvarez versus Callum Smith. Great fight, and in particular, a great fight for British boxing. How do you see it playing out?
After the press conference, you see the size difference. But saying that Callum-Smith doesn't box tall. He boxes quite compact and small, and I think that's going to play into Canelo's hand if Callum tries to catch shots. I think Canelo's very good at finding openings, especially to the body. But I don't know if Canelo can stop him. Maybe if he lands the body shots clean enough, frequent enough, he might, which he tends to do. I mean, look at him against Callum's brother BILLAM-SMITH, and throughout all his fights, he's a great body puncher. So he could stop him maybe late, 10, 11, but I'd probably pick Canelo on points. But I'd love to see Callum do it. I've seen him about the circuit, and he's always comes across really well, and he's great to watch. And I'd love to see him, but it's a tough ask, even though he has got that size advantage.
You're going to stay up for it? Are you a stayer-upper or a setter of alarms? A setter alarmer. I don't know where I was going with that.
I don't stay up for fights anymore. Not with my Whoop, because it just tells me my sleep's been horrendous. So I have to make sure I get my sleep in, and also I've got to be training over the weekend, so that'll take its toll. So I'll be getting up in the morning and getting it. I think you can watch it at any point throughout the day on Sunday. I think I saw on DAZN. So I'll be doing that first thing and trying not to see the results.
Okay, well, I wish you all the best with that. I can never do that, which is why I always end up staying up. Although now I'm getting older, I start falling asleep. So, all good. Chris BILLAM-SMITH, always a real pleasure catching up with you. Thanks very much for speaking to Boxing Social. Nice to see you looking well. And I will catch up with you soon and get that contract over to you.
Thanks, mate. Yeah, don't forget the peanut M&Ms.